On February 8th at 11:50 a.m., a landslide suddenly struck Jinping Village in Junlian County, Yibin City, Sichuan. The rushing mud and rocks spread several kilometers in an instant. The disaster happened so quickly that people had no time to escape. Officials reported that as of 11 a.m. on February 9th, the landslide had buried 10 homes and one production facility. One person was confirmed dead, 28 were missing, and 2 were injured. Footage from the scene shows a steep mountainside collapsing, with a massive flow of soil and rocks tumbling down, creating thick dust clouds. A loud rumbling echoed through the valley. In the video, people can be heard sobbing and screaming. Grieving villagers were seen crying at the site. A local resident with the surname Guo told Chinese media that he was working at a livestock farm when he noticed rocks continuously falling from the mountain. Sensing something was wrong, he decided to leave. He had just stepped away when he turned back and saw everything buried in just 10 seconds. He said, "The entire mountain came crashing down. Rocks brushed past me. If I had been a little slower, I wouldn't be here now." After the disaster, some villagers recorded videos expressing their frustration. They said they had long warned the local government about the risk of a landslide, but no action was taken. Geological experts had even assured them that the mountain was stable. We reported this earlier, but no one cared. Now more than 10 families are buried. Everything is gone. Has any official come to check? The whole mountain has collapsed, and in an instant, dozens of lives were lost. Who will take responsibility for this?
This is what the geological team said. It won't collapse. It won't collapse. And now, dozens of families and lives are gone. Who is responsible for this? The whole mountain just came crashing down. I have 3 family members buried under there.
So many people are buried, at least 20 or 30. It's heartbreaking. Oh my God, some of them are just little kids. The houses are all gone. Online, Sichuan residents left comments expressing their grief and frustration. If only the workers and school kids had been away, but at this time of day, most people were home. It's just too tragic. Others asked, aren't there supposed to be observers in every village? Why didn't anyone see this coming? Another person pointed out, the people buried underneath are gone, and without excavators, there's no way to dig them out. A Chinese media report described how one villager, Mr. Huang, was at the foot of the mountain when he saw the entire mountainside collapse, filling the air with dust for nearly 10 minutes. Large boulders continued to tumble down afterward. Another villager, who was in a neighboring village across from the disaster site, heard the loud rumbling and stepped outside. He saw rocks sliding down from hundreds of meters high, and the landslide stretched across dozens of meters. After the disaster, many villagers rushed to the site with shovels and farming tools, trying to rescue people. But their efforts were small compared to the scale of the destruction. Mr. Huang also climbed up the mountain, using his bare hands to dig through the rubble. According to a report from Beijing News, one villager said that since the second half of 2024, rocks had frequently fallen from the mountain, sometimes making sounds like firecrackers. Geological experts had surveyed the area late last year, but their warnings never caught the attention of local officials. It wasn't until 7 hours after the landslide that the local government finally activated an emergency response and sent a team to the site. 8.5 hours later, 50 professional rescuers arrived with heavy excavation equipment and life detection devices to begin the search. Despite the slow response, state media continued their usual dramatic and high-profile coverage of the disaster. After the disaster, state media reported that Chinese President Xi Jinping took the situation very seriously and issued important instructions, demanding that authorities do everything possible to rescue the missing and minimize casualties. Premier Li Qiang called for an investigation into the cause of the landslide and an assessment of geological risks in the surrounding area. He also emphasized the need to evacuate residents in danger and prevent secondary disasters. On the night of February 8th, Vice Premier Liu Guozhong rushed to the landslide site in Yibin, Sichuan, to oversee rescue and emergency operations. According to state media, Sichuan has deployed 949 personnel from firefighting, emergency response, and medical teams to assist with search and rescue efforts. Authorities have conducted a comprehensive inspection of the affected and surrounding areas, evacuating more than 360 people at risk. Current affairs commentator Henry Lee noted that the Chinese Communist Party follows the same pattern whenever a disaster occurs. Instead of focusing on immediate rescue efforts, they prioritize political grandstanding and propaganda. propaganda. He pointed out how officials emphasize leadership involvement and government efficiency in relief efforts while producing high-quality footage, interviewing government-approved experts, and staging leaders' visits for dramatic effect. He said, just one leader visiting the disaster site is accompanied by dozens of media staff covering the event. They often turn tragedies into emotional narratives that move uninformed citizens to tears, making them feel grateful for the party and government. In the early hours of February 9th, Junlian County held a press conference stating that the landslide was caused by recent continuous rainfall and geological conditions. Officials explained that the high-altitude landslide turned into a debris flow, forming a 1.2-kilometer-long accumulation area. The debris was estimated to be 10 to 20 meters thick and about 100 meters wide, with a total volume exceeding hundreds of thousands of cubic meters. As of the latest reports, the landslide was still ongoing. A 3D map analysis shows that Jinping Village is located at the bottom of two ridges, forming a Y shape, with the landslide originating from the western ridge. Surveying data indicates that the slope is steep, with a vertical drop of 437 meters. Aerial footage reveals that the landslide occurred in an area with visible sedimentary rock formations, which are soft and have low structural strength. Combined with the recent heavy rainfall, this triggered the high-altitude landslide, which remains active. However, officials have only emphasized recent continuous rainfall and geological factors in their reports, while completely ignoring earlier signs of instability, such as falling rocks over the past 6 months. Another critical issue omitted from the state reports is the impact of coal mining on the mountain stability. Public records show that Junlian County is part of the Junlian mining area, known as the Sea of Coal, and is one of Sichuan province's key coal production regions. The area holds about a quarter of Sichuan's coal reserves. There are several small coal mines in Junlian, including Jinzhou Coal Mine, located in Jinping Village, Yibin Town. This mine, established in 1995, originally had an annual production capacity of 30,000 tons. In 2022, with support from county and municipal authorities, the mine underwent an upgrade, increasing its capacity tenfold to 300,000 tons per year. Many local villagers claim that long-term underground coal mining has weakened the mountain's stability. They reported signs of landslides as early as the second half of last year, with falling rocks even blocking roads. Despite repeatedly reporting these concerns to different levels of government, officials only implemented minimal protective measures, such as placing wire mesh along parts of the road. No evacuation warnings were ever issued. Some media reports reveal that a geological hazard monitoring point had previously been set up in the landslide area because coal mining was believed to pose a collapse risk. However, before the disaster occurred, this monitoring point was removed. A geological monitoring worker in Yibin Town stated that the entrance to one of Jin coal mine's tunnels was only a few hundred meters from the site of the landslide. The mine had been shut down during the pandemic, but resumed production last year. Shortly after operations restarted, signs of landslides began appearing in the area. Jiamian News tried calling multiple numbers at Jinzhou Coal Industry Corporation Limited, but no one answered. A local government worker in Yibin Town confirmed that there is indeed a Jinzhou coal mine nearby, but since he was not at the scene, he could not comment on the cause of the landslide or the rescue efforts. A social media user posted, "I was born in Yibin and know the area well. Right now, it's still the Lunar New Year period, which is usually a dry season. Even if it rains, it's just a light drizzle. Normally, this is not the rainy season, and such a large-scale landslide shouldn't have happened." Many Chinese internet users suspect the landslide was caused by excessive coal mining. One comment reads, "They've hollowed out the ground by mining coal and shale gas. It's no surprise nature is fighting back." Industry analysts suggest that the landslide in Jinping Village was likely triggered by underground coal mining at Jinzhou Coal Mine. As mining operations expanded, the rock layers above the hollowed-out sections became unstable. Over time, cracks and deformations formed, weakening the mountain. Rainfall only acted as the final trigger. While state media vaguely referred to geological conditions, they did not clarify what these conditions were. In reality, mining operations had already compromised the mountain's stability, and the government's vague wording seemed to downplay the coal mine's responsibility. A check of the Junlian County government website revealed that in May 2023, the county's Emergency Management Bureau inspected Jinzhou coal mine and found several problems. The 2023 mining blueprint did not match the actual underground excavation, and workers had not received proper training as planned. This is a common practice among China's small coal mines. The official mining maps shown to inspectors often do not reflect actual underground operations. These documents are created just to pass government checks. When officials inspect a mine, they typically only walk around the entrance area for show. Afterward, the mine owners treat them to a lavish meal and slip them thick stacks of cash. In their reports, inspectors usually list only minor issues to make it look like a thorough check was conducted. As a result, government regulators have no real understanding of what's happening underground. Many small coal mines engage in reckless mining, exceeding their boundaries and excavating unsafely. Additionally, many small coal mine owners have close ties to powerful local officials. Some are even family members or proxies of these officials. Government officials use their power to secure mining rights for these businessmen, who in turn provide financial kickbacks. This kind of collusion between government and business is widespread and has been happening across China for years. There's no real oversight of government power in China. Public speech is censored, and all media outlets are state-controlled, serving as tools for propaganda rather than independent journalism. Government decisions are often made behind closed doors, without transparency or accountability. As the saying goes, absolute power leads to absolute corruption. The Jinping Village landslide bears a striking resemblance to another disaster that occurred a year ago in Liangshui Village, Yunnan Province. The disaster happened at 5:51 a.m., while most villagers were still asleep. A steep cliffside above the village suddenly collapsed. The debris gained tremendous momentum as it moved downhill, scraping off topsoil and turning into a powerful landslide. The village had more than 100 households and over 500 residents. The landslide completely buried many homes, while others were pushed dozens of meters away. Some boulders on top of the collapsed houses were as tall as 3 or 4 stories. In the end, 52 households and 381 buildings were destroyed or buried. 44 people lost their lives, and the estimated economic loss reached 145 million yuan. According to the disaster response team, the landslide displaced approximately 300,000 cubic meters of earth and rock. Survivors of the Liangshui Village landslide recall that around 6 a.m. on January 22, 2024, the sound of falling rocks and soil grew louder and louder. One villager, awakened from sleep, went outside to check. Seeing the danger, he ran while shouting to wake his neighbors. "It's a landslide, everyone, get up!" As he continued calling out to others, he was buried under the collapsing mountain and went missing. Authorities attributed the landslide to steep terrain, fractured rock layers, and prolonged rainfall. They claimed that water seeped into the rock, weakening it over time. Rain and snow just before the collapse caused underground water to accumulate, reaching a critical point that triggered the disaster. Again, officials emphasized weather and natural geological conditions as the causes. However, the region is also one of Guizhou's major coal-producing areas, with many small and large coal mines. Officials were quick to state that the landslide had no connection to mining activities. Many locals did not believe this claim. One resident scoffed, "They've hollowed out the mountain, and now they say it's got nothing to do with mining?" In reality, local authorities were already aware of the warning signs before the disaster. Villagers had long noticed cracks forming on the slopes of Liangshui Village and reported them to the local government. On December 13, 2023, Junlian County's Natural Resources Bureau received a report about these cracks. The next day, technical staff conducted an on-site inspection and found that some of the cracks were up to 20 centimeters wide, 100 meters long, and about 60 centimeters deep. However, officials later claimed that monitoring results showed no significant changes in the cracks. After the landslide, state media reported that the cracks were about 100 meters away from the collapse site and that no landslides had occurred in the surrounding area. This narrative seemed like an attempt to absolve the government and coal mining companies of responsibility. If such large cracks had already been discovered, why weren't preventative measures taken? Instead, officials dismissed the warnings, took no action, and blamed the disaster on nature. Another major disaster caused by local mining at the Xinjiang coal industry open pit mine in Inner Mongolia. On February 22, 2023, at 11 p.m., a massive collapse buried 59 workers, 17 excavators, 27 dump trucks, and a total of 58 pieces of heavy machinery. The disaster resulted in 53 deaths and 6 injuries, with direct economic losses exceeding 200 million yuan. The collapse left a debris pile up to 105 meters thick, covering an area of 230,000 square meters. Investigators determined that the main cause was the company's reckless mining practices. Instead of following the original design, they merged mining steps arbitrarily, creating dangerously steep slopes. Intense coal extraction at the mine's base further destabilized the area. When the slopes finally collapsed, the lack of emergency planning meant workers had no time to escape. The investigation revealed widespread illegal mining, fraudulent safety reports, and lax government oversight. However, the only punishment for the officials involved was the internal party disciplinary actions, such as warnings, demotions, and suspensions. For local governments, coal mining is a major source of tax revenue. Additionally, officials personally benefit from the industry, securing lucrative kickbacks in exchange for mining rights. As a result, they have every incentive to turn a blind eye to safety hazards. Environmental damage and geological risks from mining are routinely covered up. Government-backed experts are often brought in to issue misleading reports, dismissing public concerns before disasters occur. After a disaster, these same experts quickly shift blame to natural causes, conveniently ignoring the role of poor construction and weak regulation. These so-called experts act as government mouthpieces, prioritizing political loyalty over scientific integrity. They follow officials' directives to maintain the government's image, knowing that telling the truth would cost them their careers. The tragedies in Jinping Village and Liangshui Village were not just natural disasters, they were the result of long-term government negligence and regulatory failures. They also exposed the indifference of local officials toward public safety, as economic interests take precedence over human lives. In a system lacking transparency and accountability, such tragedies are likely to keep happening.